Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you for today's session in Sapphire. Let me introduce myself. I am Vittal Kesri, working in the Center of Expertise Financials team focused on the delivery of services for SAP Max Attention customers. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome a very well-known and internationally acclaimed brand and our esteemed SAP Max Attention customer, Colgate-Palmolive, to join our session today. Colgate will be talking about their experience in the journey of account to ledger switch in S4HANA Financials. Joining me today are Mr. Wayne Lawrence, Worldwide Director, and Mr. Apan Chaudhary, Senior Manager. Wayne and Apan, a very warm welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for being with us in the session today. We would like to hear from you, your experience in this exciting and amazing journey. In parallel, I'll be monitoring the chat. We'll take any questions at the end of this presentation. At this point, I would like to turn it over to Wayne and Apan to take the opportunity to introduce themselves and take us through the Colgate's story. Wayne and Apan, over to you.
Thank you, Atal. And good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining us today to learn about Colgate's experience with moving to a ledger-based approach. As Vital noted, my name is Wayne Lawrence, and I oversee our financial systems here at Colgate. And with me is Apan, who oversees our regulatory and S4 transformation initiatives, and is also one of the leads who helped support this transition to a ledger-based approach. Now, over these next few minutes, Apan and I are going to walk you through how Colgate rationalized our decision to move from a special purpose ledger to a parallel ledger, highlighting some of the key benefits, challenges, and key takeaways from the implementation. But before we get started, let me give you a little bit of background and overview of our company. Founded in 1806, Colgate is a caring, innovative growth company reimagining a healthier future for all our people, their pets, and our planet. We're a $16.5 billion global consumer goods company with approximately 34,000 employees and diverse and dedicated people around the globe. We sell our products in over 200 countries and territories, and our products are represented in 4 core categories: oral care, personal care, home care, and pet nutrition. And as noted earlier, our products are among some of the world's most recognizable brands, such as Ajax, Sanex, Soft Soap, and our Hill's Pet. But with that, let's now talk a little bit more about our project and our move to a ledger-based approach. Now, our journey started back in 1994 when we implemented SAP R3 with our US-based business. And by 2000, we had completed expansion of our R3 across all of our regions, implementing 5 SAP R3 instances, leveraging a lot of the capabilities across all the platforms and modules, and specifically around leveraging the classic GL and the special purpose ledger, which we use as a way to create a secondary set of accounting books to support our corporate and local statutory reporting needs. But then in 2020, we upgraded from SAP R3 to ECC 6.0, but this is purely a technical upgrade. So it wasn't until 2018 when we really started to look at how do we transform our business and really get into the digital age, and that introduced us into SAP S4HANA. And really, as we started looking at SAP S4HANA, it was all about how do we take advantage of the latest technology available in S4, at the same time looking at how do we consolidate all of our ECC instances into one global instance, leveraging those new capabilities, which also included looking at how do we migrate our special purpose ledger to a parallel ledger. So in 2019, we completed our first upgrade from ECC to S4HANA on 1709. And then as we moved into 2020, we started our first migration of our first ECC instance into that new global S4HANA. And it was during that migration that we took the conscious decision to start the migration of our special purpose ledger to the parallel ledger. And there were 3 main reasons for why we did this. The first one was really around improving our regulatory reporting in the area of inventory valuation and fixed assets. Our business teams really wanted to have better visibility on the movement of goods and on both legal and group valuation side. The second was really an opportunity around automating our processes for managing fixed assets in different accounting principles like US GAAP, IFRS, and some of the country-specific statutory requirements needed in our subsidiaries. But lastly, and most importantly, we wanted to move away from the custom development and the manual maintained special purpose ledgers and leverage the standard SAP functionality with the improved user experience. And this would really help drive some efficiencies within our centers and in the subsidiaries utilizing this capability. But again, this is just a high-level overview of our journey and why we decided to migrate to a ledger-based approach. But what I'll do now is hand this over to Apan, who will further explain why we migrated and how we migrated to a parallel ledger. Apan?
Thank you, Wayne. Good afternoon, everyone. It was very easy for Wayne to explain the problem. Now I need to explain the solution. So getting into inventory as the first step, we used to have only one valuation in SAP system. So we used to have only legal valuation, and whenever we need to do a group valuation, there were like manual adjustments. So we came up with this design saying, okay, we can do the multiple inventory valuations, but that is managed through currency types in material ledger. What that means is we had to introduce a new currency type in our production environment, which is definitely not easy. So we took the help from SAP teams and we asked for SLO service so that we can add the currency type. We had previous experience with the structural changes or SLO, but that was all pre-S4. So this was the first time we were doing in a S4 system. So again, we had several discussions and we came up with POC with the help of Max Attention team. Everything looked okay from a functionality perspective. Now the challenge was there was a downtime needed for this change, and downtime was estimated around 33 hours, which was definitely a big disruption for business, particularly on the supply chain side. So we went back to whiteboard again, saying, how can we reduce this? Again, with the help of SAP teams, we took an approach. We called it as a shadow table approach because there was no product name for it. And we could reduce the downtime to 10 hours, which was very easy to manage from supply chain perspective. So with that, we activated the currency type, and now we have the group valuation and legal valuation happening simultaneously for every goods movement that's taking place in the system. So that pretty much reduced our dependency on the manual adjustments periodically or anything. Everything is online. Every transaction can be reviewed in both valuations. Moving on, next area is fixed assets. In pre-conversion or pre-parallel ledgers world, we used to manage this accounting principles through dummy GL accounts. So as you can see on the left-hand side, we have corporate chart of accounts, and we have another set of duplicated GL accounts to maintain local requirements or local statutory requirements. So again, with the help of parallel ledgers, we thought like, okay, let's keep the same accounts, but do a different valuation in different ledger. Again, the functionality is okay, but there was no standard option in SAP migration cockpit to migrate from accounts to ledger. So again, with the help of Max Attention, we got a solution so that they enhanced the cockpit to handle this mapping and scenarios. And we created a few new depreciation areas and transferred our historical data from the accounts to the ledgers. So these were the two big challenges. And once we had these two functionalities working, now the question is, how do we do this in production system? And after the downtime optimization in SLO, reduced from 33 hours to 10 hours, now business partners and senior leadership has very high expectation. So we did not even dare to propose saying, oh, we need a weekend of downtime or 1 day of downtime, because we knew that that was not going to be accepted. So what we did is, I think in a simple words, first we sat down and wrote all the things. What transactions are really mission critical? We should not impact. And what are some transactions that can wait? I'm not saying those are not important, but that can wait. So as you can see in the chart, we logged fixed asset transaction for almost 4 days because it was not directly impacting our business operation. Versus if you see the downtime at the bottom, this is the downtime for all other transactions like shipping, billing, sales order receiving, and all those things. So we only took 45 minutes of break, like a coffee break, and everything was sort of pretty much online. So just to mention, when we initially started talking about parallel ledgers migration, we talked about 48 hours of downtime. From there, with the help of SAP teams and thanks to all those design sessions, we brought it down to 45 minutes. So now that we did all those things and everything is in production, working well, what are the business benefits we are looking at? Definitely reduce number of manual adjustment because the valuations are happening automatically. And the second biggest thing is material valuations into legal and group valuation that allows us to do better analysis for the variances or transfer prices, even the goods movement itself. And also, we are not going to stop here. We see this as a foundation for our future automations like advanced compliance reporting and electronic submissions. Finally, in the special purpose ledgers world, we did not really have multidimensional reporting. It was more driven by GL account. But with parallel ledgers, with all these things, now we have like a multidimensional reporting, like product dimension, customer dimensions in all the ledgers. With that, there were some key learnings as we went through that journey. We had a few key takeaways. First of all, GL master data changes. So there will be a change management required specifically for ledger specific postings that we need to consider from day one so that business will be ready. And the reconciliation process took longer than what we expected. Even though system was up and running, it took us longer time to do the reconciliation mainly because of the volume of fixed assets. And there were some challenges with asset under construction settlements from the previous years. Fortunately, we could address all of them. And next thing is I think biggest thing we need to consider when we go with this type of project is, in our case, what happened, we had around 1.2 billion records in Universal Journal Table. And we estimated migrating another 200 million records during parallel ledgers. And we, at an average, we have like a 4% growth of the table records. And initially, we did not have table partitioning for that table. So it could only handle up to 2 billion records. Then we again, back to our teams with their help, we defined a strategy for activating the partitioning. We initially thought of doing the partitioning online, but we didn't have enough time. So we took the traditional approach of doing the partitioning offline. But for good thing is we could speed that within our monthly maintenance. So there was no additional downtime required. With having said that, I think in every part of the project, SAP teams were there helping us and making sure that we made sure that they don't sleep. So with that, I'll hand it over to Wen to elaborate more on SAP engagement.
So as Apan noted, we engaged SAP Max Attention from the initial stages of the project, and they were instrumental in helping us to really understand what is a parallel ledger and how does it work, and how would it benefit Colgate. They engage with us in several working sessions with our business partners to really dig through the details of how we're using our special purpose ledgers today, what were some of the business gaps that we needed to uncover and address, and then how we would translate into a parallel ledger and how that migration would take place. I think that was one of the most critical and most beneficial aspects of the entire project, was that initial upfront phase of really getting down to the scope and the requirements needed and what it would take to get us to the parallel ledger. And our business truly benefited from that exercise, having SAP a part of that, understanding our business practices, as well as understanding what's going on in other industries and some of the best practices. And then, as Apan said, the next piece of it was how we were going to execute it. And understanding that during this time of COVID, and Colgate being one of those products that are heavily needed, we needed to make sure that we did not impact operations. And so through the co-innovation and partnership and collaboration between us and Max Attention, we spent hours trying to figure out how do we actually optimize the downtime to reduce any potential impact that we would have with our business. And through several discussions, several POCs, we were able to figure that out and come up with an approach that, as upon noted, we went from 48 hours to 45 minutes to do the migration. We went from 33 hours to 10 hours to do the third currency. And all of this we were able to do without any disruption to the business and any impact to our ability to ship or invoice or sell to our customers, which was a huge, a huge benefit and a huge achievement for all of us. And again, a lot of this was done and couldn't have been done without the support and the help of Max Attention along the way. So with that, I'd have to say, this was a very successful implementation. It was a very significant one for Colgate. SAP played a tremendous part in helping us achieve this objective. And now we're live and running with the parallel ledger. And as we migrate our other instances into that global S4, they'll all start to take advantage of the parallel ledger as they come on board. So with that, I conclude this portion of the presentation, and we'll start to respond to some of the questions from the audience in the chat.
Thank you so much, Venandappan. It was a great, thanks for that. Let's go through some of the questions that are there coming from the audience. It says, hi, Appan, can you elaborate on how do you use parallel ledger to incorporate customer and product dimensions?
So the main is may not be customer, but product for sure, because we wanted to calculate several things at product dimension level. And now, since we have two valuations, we wanted to do the same thing in two different values, both for statutory and management.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. So we move to the second question, which says, hi, what does partitioning of universal journal table means? Kindly expound a little bit more. Maybe in the context of parallel ledgers, if you could share your experience.
It may not be directly related to parallel ledgers, but one thing we should consider is the introduction of parallel ledgers will increase the data volume on the universal journal. So the growth rate will be much faster.
Right.
I think in our scenario, what we saw was that when we moved from the COPA type structure in ECC to then S4 to the AC DACA, it expands the number of records that you have, even though you do compression, which kind of brings that down. But then when you introduce the parallel ledger, you're creating another set of books, which then increases the number of records that you have in that table. So based on the volume of data that you're managing, you just want to take a look at how that growth will go and make sure that you can manage within your single table structure, which has a 2 billion record limitation. If you see that that growth is going to go beyond that, then the idea is that you need to partition it, which means you need to break it up so that you can have multiple structures of a table that has a 2 billion record size limitation so that you can manage the growth. And for us, we had to expand that to several partitions in order to make sure that we not only manage the volume of data that we were managing at that point in time, but also the potential growth that will come in as we start to migrate other divisions into our global S4 instance.
Good. No, thanks for that, Venandappan. So we have a couple questions like how many records were processed during in AC DACA during the migration of parallel ledger? Approximately, I think Appan already mentioned about like 200 million plus records over there. Right, and there was a question, but did you archive any data before S4?
Yes, we do. We have very strict archiving policy. Of course, in compliance with all countries' regulations, but we do follow archiving.
Okay. There's a question which says, in terms of tax reporting, it says, for tax reporting, what product do you use for production level books of financials?
I may have to come back on that.
Okay, no worries. And then it says, there's a question, can you please explain again how downtime was brought down?
So the rule of the game is very simple. How much data we can migrate during uptime.
Exactly.
And we take a short downtime just for doing like a delta change or a accuracy checks or something. That's it.
The question is, someone has asked saying, rather than adding more table entries, is it possible to add virtual ledgers using CDS views? No, here what happens is that, it is not a virtual ledger here. We are talking about parallel ledgers. When I'm not sure in what context, this is being asked, but when we introduce parallel ledgers in the system, that is meant for addressing a certain accounting principle or a gap. That is why we use the concept of parallel ledgers provided standard out of the box. So there's nothing like a virtual ledger, that sits within the system. There's a question, how did you consolidated fixed asset reporting in USD before S4 with classic stroke special purpose ledgers and after S4 stroke parallel GL? Curious about Forex translations.
We always had the USD in our system even prior to S4 because we use group currency as one of the currency types. But that we don't really use that much for the consolidation purposes. We typically consolidate in local currency and then translate in the consolidation system.
Okay. And then there's also a question that says, are you able to have a report built that has a trial balance with beginning balance and activity by month?
Yes.
Great.
We in fact have two different types for that. One is in analysis office using the virtual provider, and another one is a traditional SAP GR53 using Universal Journal Totals table.
Okay, there's a question. Did you notice any performance change on FI processes after data growth and table partition?
That's a very good question, and we were really concerned about that aspect as well. So during the testing phase itself, we did like a concurrent user testing and performance testing and all those things in the sandbox. Then only we went with the production. Honestly, we have seen some improvements in some reporting.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd have to say the most important thing is test. And in this case, we were very concerned about performance, but, we did not see any performance hiccup at all. As a matter of fact, to Apan's, notation, we actually saw some improvements in certain areas. So we were, pleasantly pleased about how this all worked out.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Thanks for that. And there's a question which says, for how many table partitions have you done?
If I'm not wrong, 20.
20. Okay, great. So I think we're almost there at the end of the session. Rashi, thank you so much for giving us the link. I would request every one of you to, please. There's one question before we move. It says S4HANA Analytics uses account-based costing. Are you on HANA? And if so, was there any conflict switching to ledger-based approach?
No, actually we did exact same thing. We used to have costing-based PA in ECC. During S4 migration, we migrated to account-based PA. Now we also migrated fixed assets from accounts to ledger, and we have not seen any conflicts.